If you've ever stared at a blank whiteboard during a technical interview, feeling your palms sweat, well, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to crack open the philosophy behind one of the most nerve-wracking experiences in the tech world. We're going to figure out what interviewers are really looking for.
Let's start with this quote. It's from a hiring manager at a top tech company, and it really captures a feeling that's surprisingly common. Think about it. Despite a flood of applicants, hiring committees often walk away disappointed. They see candidate after candidate who, on paper, looks like a perfect fit, but in person, something is just off.
So that's the big mystery, isn't it? You can have the amazing grades, the fancy university name, the cool open source projects, and still walk away without an offer. Why does this happen over and over again? Well, the answer probably isn't what you think it is.
Okay, let's look at a real-world example. We've got this candidate, right? Sharp, creative, hardworking, with an impressive 3.73 GPA from a world-class program. He was even referred by a current employee. I mean, this guy seemed like a guaranteed hire. But he was rejected.
And here's the really interesting part. Look at the specific feedback. It had nothing to do with how smart he was. It was all about execution. He just struggled with the practical application of his knowledge under pressure. He couldn't come up with a good algorithm, he didn't think about trade-offs, and his code was, well, it was messy. He simply wasn't prepared for what the interview was actually testing.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the core disconnect. Your university CS program, it probably focuses on all this complex, theoretical stuff. The kind of things that are great for research papers. But interviews, they're all about practical problem solving, recognizing common patterns, and writing clean, functional code. It's a completely different ballgame.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Those super obscure, complex data structures you crammed for your final exams? Yeah, probably not what's going to be on the whiteboard. The interview is a test of your ability to be a productive engineer right now, not your ability to recall some dusty academic theory. So this brings us to the million-dollar question. If it's not just about acing some complex algorithm on the spot, what is the hiring committee actually looking for? What's the real difference between the candidates who get rejected and the ones who get an enthusiastic yes? Here it is, the big secret. They're trying to figure out what it would be like to work with you every single day. Are you a problem solver, a collaborator, or are you a pop diva?
So, to see what a pop diva looks like in the wild, let's talk about a guy named Leonard. Technically, he was brilliant, no doubt about it. But during his interview, he spent all his time criticizing the company's tools, their database, their coding language. He basically said, "You're all doing everything wrong, and when you hire me, you'll have to change to my way of doing things."
The hiring committee's conclusion was, well, brutal but necessary. Leonard might have been technically right about some things, but that attitude, that was a massive red flag. They knew he would absolutely destroy team morale. He was, in their words, toxic kryptonite. And yeah, no offer.
This all kind of boils down to this informal but super critical test. Interviewers are asking themselves, could I work with this person for 200 hours a month? Would I even want to grab a beer with them after a long week? It sounds casual, but it's a gut check on whether you're a collaborative and respectful teammate.
Okay, so we've seen the pitfalls, from the purely technical to the behavioral. How do you avoid them? It all comes down to a strategic framework, a method for success, the crack the code method.
Now, the biggest mindset shift you need to make is this. Stop thinking about the interview as a pop quiz you can just cram for. It is not about memorizing 150 different problems. It's about deeply understanding the handful of things you are actually being scored on.
First up, analytical ability. This is scored from 1 to 4, and it's all about how you think. When an interviewer gives you a vague problem, do you freeze up, or do you start asking smart, clarifying questions? Can you break the problem down into smaller chunks and talk through a logical path to a solution? This is the foundation of everything else.
Second, of course, is your coding skill, also on that 1 to 4 scale. And look, getting a working solution, that's just the baseline. They're looking for quality. Is your code clean? Is it well structured? Do you use meaningful variable names? Do you handle edge cases? This score really reflects whether another engineer could pick up your code and understand it without wanting to tear their hair out.
Third, they're looking at your experience. And this doesn't just mean how many years you have on your resume. It means, can you talk intelligently and in-depth about the technical challenges you faced before? Do you get the trade-offs of the technologies you used?
They want to see proof that you've actually built stuff, learned from mistakes, and can apply that knowledge here. And finally, communication. Honestly, this is the glue that holds it all together, and it is so often the deciding factor. Can you explain your thought process clearly while you're coding? Can you take a hint from the interviewer and use it gracefully? This is where candidates like Leonard totally fail, and where the great candidates really shine. So with all that in mind, here's a super practical way to approach any technical question. Don't just jump into coding. First, talk through your algorithm out loud. Explain how you're going to solve it. Then, talk about optimizations. Show them you're thinking about efficiency. Then, write that clean code. And finally, prove it works by testing it. Now, acing that algorithm question is huge, but a really common mistake is thinking that's all there is to it. You might be thinking, okay, so I just need to nail that one part, right? Well, not exactly. The reality of modern tech interviews is way broader. Just look at the full landscape here. You absolutely need to be ready for algorithms, of course, but also high-level system design questions, stuff about testing, databases, and those all-important behavioral questions that are designed to weed out the Leonards of the world.
You know, at the end of the day, this intense preparation does so much more than just get you a job offer. It forces you to solidify your fundamentals, get better at communication, and really think like a senior engineer. It's like a crash course in your own professional development.
And the author leaves us with this really powerful thought. The job search isn't just something you do when you have to, it's a strategic decision about where your career is going. You have to ask yourself, is my current role actually pushing me forward, or is it time to take on the challenge of moving to that next level? So here's the big takeaway. The technical interview isn't just some annoying gate you have to pass through. It's a reflection of the skills and the mindset you need for the job itself. Preparing for it isn't about gaming a system. It's about becoming the kind of engineer that great companies are absolutely desperate to hire. The only question is, what choice will you make for your career?